Hands where I can see them. The command cracked across the busy parking lot of Brookside Market just after noon, sharp enough to stop conversations and turn heads. Shopping carts paused, car doors remained half open. Within seconds, people reached for their phones, sensing that something unusual was unfolding. 70-year-old Gloria Holloway slowly turned toward the sound. One grocery bag rested against her leg, while the other sat inside the open trunk of her silver Mercedes-Benz. Her breathing was careful, measured. Just 4 days earlier, surgeons at Fairmont Regional Medical Center had repaired a blocked artery in her heart, sending her home with one simple instruction: avoid stress and take life one step at a time. She raised both hands, her car keys still dangling between her fingers. "I'm sorry, officer," she said gently. "Is something wrong?" Officer Ryan Carter strode toward her with the confidence of someone convinced he already knew the answer. At 29, he had earned a reputation for acting quickly. Today he had responded to a 911 report describing an older black woman allegedly attempting to steal a luxury vehicle. The dispatcher had also mentioned the possibility that the suspect might be armed, and Ryan arrived, believing every word before seeing a single piece of evidence. "Step away from the vehicle," he ordered. Gloria blinked in confusion. "This is my car." Ryan glanced at the polished Mercedes before looking back at the elderly woman standing beside it. Instead of asking for identification, he folded his arms. "People like you don't usually drive cars like this." For a brief moment, the parking lot fell strangely quiet. A young father loading groceries into his SUV looked up. An elderly couple exchanged uneasy glances. A college student stopped pushing her cart and quietly started recording. Gloria had spent most of her life learning that anger rarely solved anything. She took a slow breath. "My registration is in my purse." She explained, "My insurance card is there too." "If you'll let me show you, don't reach for anything." His voice grew louder. I said, "Step away from the car." She obeyed without argument. Gloria carefully closed the trunk and took 2 slow steps backward, favoring the cane that supported her healing body. Every movement reminded her of the surgery that had saved her life. Only days before, only 3 hours earlier. The morning had felt completely different. The nurses at Fairmont Regional hugged her before discharge. "You've been one of our sweetest patients." One of them smiled. Gloria laughed softly. "My students used to say I smiled too much." For 38 years, she had served as an elementary school principal, encouraging children from every neighborhood to believe education could change their future. Thousands of former students still recognized her around town, calling her Mrs. Holloway, with the same respect they had carried as children. After retiring, she finally fulfilled a promise she and her late husband had made years before. They had saved carefully, skipped expensive vacations, and paid every bill on time. When retirement came, Gloria purchased the silver Mercedes outright. It wasn't a symbol of wealth, it was a symbol of decades of discipline, sacrifice, and honest work. That morning she had stopped at Brookside Market for something simple. Fresh peaches. Tomorrow would have been her husband's birthday. And although he had passed away 6 years earlier, she still baked his favorite peach cobbler every year. It was her way of remembering a man who had spent 42 years, reminding her that kindness mattered, even when the world offered very little in return. Across the parking lot, Karen Mitchell watched from inside a dark SUV. She had seen Gloria around the neighborhood before, but had never spoken to her. Watching the elderly woman unlock an expensive Mercedes stirred an assumption she never questioned. Minutes earlier, Karen had dialed 911. "I think someone's stealing a Mercedes," she reported calmly. "It's an older black woman. She doesn't look like she belongs with that car. She might have a weapon." Every sentence had been built on nothing more than suspicion. Officer Carter never knew that. He only heard the dispatch. Possible auto theft, possible armed suspect. Now he stood only a few feet from Gloria. "Turn around." She looked at him with quiet disbelief. "Officer, please." "I just came from the hospital. I have paperwork that proves this car belongs to me." I said, "Turn around." Gloria hesitated only long enough to search his face, for a hint that he might reconsider. She found none around them. More phones rose into the air. Some people whispered that the situation didn't feel right. Others simply watched, uncertain whether to speak. One delivery driver quietly muttered, "At least check her ID first." Ryan ignored him. His attention remained fixed on the elderly woman standing beside the Mercedes, unaware that every decision he made was now being captured from half a dozen different angles. While just beyond the entrance to the parking lot, another county vehicle was beginning to pull in unnoticed. Officer Ryan Carter closed the distance between them without another question. The afternoon sun reflected off the polished hood of the Mercedes. As Gloria Holloway slowly turned around, careful not to twist too quickly, every movement pulled against the healing incision beneath her blouse, and she instinctively reached for her cane before remembering it had been knocked several feet away. "Officer, please," she said calmly. "I can explain everything. If you'll just let me show you my registration." "You've already had your chance," Ryan replied. "Put your hands behind your back. I had heart surgery 4 days ago. My doctor told me not to stretch my arms that way." The words barely registered with him. He had convinced himself that hesitation meant resistance. Without asking another question, he reached for her wrist. The cold steel handcuffs clicked shut. Gloria winced as pain shot through her shoulders. She bit her lip instead of crying out. Years of teaching children had taught her that staying calm often changed a difficult situation. Even now, surrounded by strangers with cameras pointed toward her, she refused to answer anger with anger. "I'm not resisting," she said quietly. "I'm asking you to be careful." Orion tightened his grip. "Then stop making this harder than it needs to be." Several people standing nearby exchanged uncomfortable looks. A middle-aged woman whispered to her husband, "She doesn't look dangerous." A young delivery driver wearing a grocery store uniform stepped forward just enough to make his voice heard. "Officer, maybe you should check her driver's license first." Ryan immediately turned toward him. "Stay back, this is an active police investigation." The young man raised both hands. "I'm not trying to interfere. I'm just saying there's another way to handle this." Without responding, Ryan guided Gloria toward the front of the Mercedes. As her purse slipped from her shoulder, it hit the pavement with a soft thud. Its contents scattered across the parking lot. A small bottle of heart medication rolled across the asphalt. A folded hospital discharge packet fluttered open in the breeze. Finally, a laminated vehicle registration card slid into plain view. Only a few feet away, the delivery driver looked down first. "It says Gloria Holloway," he called out. "The registration matches the car." Another shopper leaned closer. "He's right." Several phones zoomed in on the card lying beside the front tire. Officer Carter glanced at it for only a second before looking. "Away documents can be stolen," he said firmly. Gloria closed her eyes for a moment. "They're not stolen. My name is on every paper. If you read them, you'll know." Instead of picking up the registration, Ryan motioned toward Officer Emily Brooks, who had just arrived as backup. Emily was only a year into her career and immediately noticed the elderly woman's pale face and trembling hands. She also noticed the hard medication lying on the ground. "Ryan," she said quietly, "maybe we should verify ownership before transporting her." He shook his head. The caller reported an active vehicle theft. Emily looked at Gloria. "Ma'am, are you feeling okay?" Gloria forced a gentle smile, despite the pain spreading across her chest. "I have had better days." The answer lingered with Emily. There was no anger in Gloria's voice, only exhaustion and quiet dignity. Around them, the crowd continued to grow. Some people filmed, others simply watched in silence. A retired Marine standing near the entrance lowered his head. "I wore this country's uniform for 22 years, he murmured to the woman beside him. "Justice begins with listening." His words were soft, but several people nearby heard them. One by one, the mood in the parking lot shifted. The cameras were no longer recording what they believed was a car thief. They were recording an elderly woman, repeatedly asking officers to check the facts. Gloria looked directly at Officer Carter. "My late husband served this community for 30 years as a firefighter. I spent almost 4 decades helping raise children in our public schools. I've always respected law enforcement, because good officers protect people." She paused, breathing carefully before continuing. "Please don't let one rushed decision erase that respect." Today, for the first time, Ryan hesitated. Not because he believed her, but because he realized nearly every phone in the parking lot was pointed at him. The live stream from the young delivery driver's account had already spread far beyond Brookside Market. Thousands of viewers watched comments pour across the screen, urging someone to check the registration and help the elderly woman. Emily bent down to collect Gloria's spilled belongings. As she picked up the hospital discharge papers, one sentence printed across the top caught her attention. "Patient discharged following cardiac surgery. Avoid physical stress." Emily looked from the paperwork to Gloria's tired face, then back toward Ryan before she could speak again. Gloria took a slow, painful breath. "Officer," she said with quiet determination, "I'm asking one more time, please let me make a phone call." There is someone who needs to know what's happening. Officer Emily Brooks looked from the hospital discharge papers to Gloria Holloway's tired face. Every instinct she had developed during her first year on the force told her something about this situation was deeply wrong. The elderly woman wasn't angry. She wasn't threatening anyone. She was simply asking to be heard. Emily stood and faced Officer Ryan Carter. "Ryan," she said quietly, "we need to slow down. The paperwork matches her name, and she clearly needs medical attention." Ryan folded his arms, refusing to admit uncertainty. "We'll sort it out at the station." Gloria drew another careful breath, her voice steady despite the pain pressing against her chest. "I've never asked for special treatment in my life. I'm only asking for one phone call." For a long moment, Emily looked at Ryan, then at the growing crowd. Hundreds of eyes were watching. Thousands more were following the live stream online. Finally, she reached into her uniform pocket and took out her phone. "Who would you like me to call, ma'am?" Gloria smiled faintly. "My son." Emily entered the number exactly as Gloria spoke it. The line rang twice before a calm, confident voice answered. "This is Chief Nathan Holloway." Emily froze. Every officer in Fairmont County knew that voice. She slowly handed the phone toward Gloria. "It's your mother," Emily said softly. There was a brief silence. Then the voice on the other end changed completely. "Mom, are you okay?" Gloria fought back tears. "I'm all right, sweetheart. I just need you to come to Brookside Market. I'll be there in 5 minutes." The call ended. Ryan frowned. "What chief was that?" Emily looked directly into his eyes. "Our chief." The confidence drained from Ryan's face. For the first time that afternoon, before anyone spoke again, Black County SUVs turned into the parking lot, one after another. Their emergency lights reflected across the silver Mercedes. The crowd instinctively stepped back. County Police Chief Nathan Holloway climbed out of the lead vehicle, wearing his command uniform. He moved quickly through the crowd, ignoring every camera pointed in his direction. Then he saw Gloria. His pace became a run, "Mom." The single word echoed across the parking lot. Every conversation stopped. Nathan knelt beside his mother, without caring who was watching. Seeing the handcuffs around her wrists and the marks where the metal had cut into her skin, his expression shifted from concern to heartbreak. "I'm here," he whispered. "You're safe now." Emily immediately removed the handcuffs. Nathan gently helped his mother onto a nearby bench, while paramedics, who had arrived moments earlier, began checking her heart and blood pressure. Only after making sure Gloria was receiving care did Nathan stand and face Officer Carter. His voice remained calm. "Did you verify ownership of the vehicle?" Ryan couldn't answer. Nathan looked toward the registration card still lying on the pavement. He picked it up himself. The name matched. The address matched the driver's license inside. Gloria's purse matched. Everything matched. Nathan slowly closed the wallet and looked back at Ryan. "The first responsibility of a police officer isn't making arrests." He paused. "It's finding the truth." The entire parking lot became silent. Nathan continued. "A badge represents public trust. Every encounter is an opportunity either to strengthen that trust or damage it. Today the facts were available from the very beginning." Ryan lowered his head. I made assumptions," Nathan nodded. "And assumptions are dangerous." He looked toward the people still recording. "I'm grateful that so many citizens remained here to document what happened. Accountability protects good officers just as much as it protects the public." Emily quietly stood beside Gloria. The elderly woman reached over and gently squeezed her hand. "Thank you," Gloria said. "You chose compassion." Emily smiled through tears. "My grandmother taught me to listen before judging." "So did mine," Gloria replied. News of the incident spread quickly throughout Fairmont County. An internal investigation was launched to review every decision made that afternoon, while the false 911 report was also examined. The department used the incident as a training example, reminding every officer that professionalism means slowing down, verifying facts, treating every person with dignity, and never allowing assumptions to replace evidence. A week later, Gloria returned to Brookside Market. This time dozens of neighbors greeted her with smiles. Some apologized for remaining silent. Others thanked her for responding with grace instead of bitterness. Gloria simply smiled. "We build stronger communities," she said, "when we choose understanding over assumptions and courage over silence." As she walked toward her Mercedes, leaning gently on a new cane, Chief Nathan Holloway opened the passenger door for his mother, just as his late father had always done. Gloria looked at her son with pride, not because he wore the badge of a county police chief, But because he had never forgotten the value, she spent a lifetime teaching him integrity, humility, fairness, and compassion. Sometimes the greatest strength isn't found in power. It's found in choosing dignity when you've been treated unfairly, and in having the courage to seek the truth before passing judgment. If Gloria Holloway's story touched your heart, share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever witnessed a moment when kindness or fairness changed someone's life? Your story may inspire someone else today. And if you believe every community deserves justice built on truth, respect, and compassion, let us know what kind of inspiring story you'd like to see next.